I'm going to get going here. It is time for us to make decisions. Yesterday, I went on a long walk in the forest and did a lot of thinking about what we've learned and what needs to be done and so forth. And I came to a number of conclusions. I will admit I've been stalling on making decisions, but I wanted to make sure I gathered sufficient input from everybody. There are a number of lessons from our November experience that I think we incorporate into the planning. First lesson, I think, is pretty clear. Wumpus is not ready for prime time. We are not ready to release this thing. It is not ready. I am canceling the idea of a broad release on January 1st. We're not ready. It needs more support before it can be released. And most important, it needs a good example. I simply must finish Le Mort d'Arthur before we can have a broad public release. Now, we can have limited releases, bring in a few more people into the group. But at this point, it is so vague that there is simply no basis for it'll simply confuse people. And in the end, it will chase them away. So better to wait for a while. In fact, I think the basic decision or the basic policy should be that we not do a public release until Le Mort d'Arthur is ready. That could take as long as a year. I don't know. I've actually been making good progress on it in the last week, but still, there's a lot of work that must be completed before it'll be ready for release. Let's see. Also, Wumpus itself needs considerable improvement. One of the things I have learned in working on it, I'm using my own custom version of Wumpus for Le Mort d'Arthur. I've made a number of changes, and in the process, I've hit upon a number of ideas that I think, are of value to everybody. And so, in fact, my work, which this is what I expected, my work with the tool has given me ideas for improving the tool. And so I'm going to be integrating those into the design. Actually, I've got one really good idea I'm very pleased with, which is a testing tool where you run it and it runs through the entire story world thousands of times, randomly picking options each time. And so what you'll get is a distribution of results. And it can say, well, you have to specify the endpoints, how many endpoints there are. And it'll give you a distribution and say, well, this is how many that this got, how many this one got, how many that one got, and so forth. And that, in turn, will give you a rough idea. You can assume that the player, the population of players, will approximate a random distribution of choices. And so this will give you a good idea of how the story world will turn out for most people. And if, in fact, you find that it is very rare that people succeed, then you obviously need to make adjustments. So that is one good example of a new feature. I've got a couple of other minor ones I've thrown in. You can now, in my version, you can rename an encounter. It also, very powerful, useful feature. You can have it sort the story worlds by their central date. That is, by when they take place, their timing. And so you can see the sequence. Much more useful. There's a small problem with getting that to be universal. I've got to restructure some of the data structures in order for that to be universally applied. The third thing we need is a better but we need better reference material. That is, we need better explanations of how this whole system works. And the explanations must be top down. I made those 3 videos a couple of years ago. They're very nice videos, but they didn't follow the right sequence. The proper sequence, I believe, is to start off by explaining the radically different structure of an encounter story world. That is, we always think in terms of consequentiality trees. You know, how you make decisions and it spreads out through a tree. Encounter story worlds don't work that way. They don't follow a tree. They follow what is pretty much a line with a few little branching places scattered about. And as a consequence, they look crazy to most gamers. I mean, like, how can that possibly work? And the idea of you slowly altering relationships by your choices as you traverse this near linear sequence, that's radical and difficult for people to grasp. And so we have to start off explaining that, and then from there say, okay, how do we implement this? And that's where we start talking about the tool. One other thing, I am seriously questioning the value of prerequisites and disqualifiers. So far, I've had no need for them in Le Mort d'Arthur. There are simpler structures for handling that. I'm strongly tempted to delete them because they make life simpler and easier for everybody. They take up less screen space. I think that's the way to go, but I'm holding off until I've got more experience with Le Mort d'Arthur. Let's see. So we're going to be slow walking the work. I'm going to be fast walking Le Mort d'Arthur, and we'll be slow walking everything else while we wait for me to get finished with that. We will not do we're not going to worry about the platform issue, whether we use Java or JavaScript or whatever. We're just going to stick with what we have right now because I have to define it. Once I am done with Le Mort d'Arthur, I'll also have the definitive working version of Wumpus, and then we can start talking about what we transform it into. I agree entirely. The current Java version is not prime time. It's not for the general public. It's a developer kind of thing. So yes, we'll need a new platform. No, we're not going to worry about that now. And in fact, we will not worry about it until Le Mort d'Arthur is done. What we can do until then is first continue these meetings, primarily as a way to attract some more attention, get more people into this small group. And Desnes will be doing a great deal to help in this and making them look a lot better and organizing them, setting up a channel, blah, blah, blah. So that will certainly help. I don't want to expand into other social media like Facebook and so forth. Not yet. Again, we're not ready to take a large influx of people, but we really should keep that in mind. Desnes, I'm assuming that you're willing to take that over when the time comes.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
So I would take the usernames before it and take the accounts, the names, so that it isn't be taken afterwards, but we can't use it later then. Okay,
very good, very good. We will need, I think the biggest job that you guys can do, or one or more of you could do, is to prepare better reference materials. That is, we need be able to explain this to people. First decision is whether to do this in text or in video. I understand most of the young people these days are I won't say illiterate, but non-literate. And so they're going to need video. And doing video right is a big job. The videos I've prepared, the teaching videos I've done, have taken me, maybe 50-to-1 ratio. That is, I spend 50 minutes of time preparing 1 minute of video. And so it's a big job, especially the main thing. In fact, I got to vent some anger here. I really, really hate people who do video, of YouTube video, by just turning on the camera and then talking into the camera. Hello, I'm a talking head, and I'm just going to talk and talk and talk, and I'm never going to show you anything. And that is an abuse of video. Video is supposed to show things and not just the face. So there should be very little talking head. So we will need some volunteers for that. Is there anybody in this group who wants to form a team to start preparing video?
So my offer would be to make a script for the video, so we can turn that video into a text and a video, 2 versions. So you can publish the text and the video.
My guess is that I will need to define an outline. The starting point will be me preparing an outline or a rough description. This is the content you're going to need. Explaining, yes. Well, this is what, part of the problem is that I'm changing Wumpus, and if you're going to teach Wumpus, you got to know all the changes I've made. So I will probably have to provide a preliminary document from which to work.
Just a podcast of people reading the text, it's still better than just a text. And I think we could do imaging some of it. I could help to do some image.
If you do the text, we can turn that into a script and turn that video into with animations or something to explain it better. Like
the text is already made, basically. We just have to turn the text into a script. It's
perfect.
Basically all the literature from Chris.
Perfect.
And what's good is that it's written like in an oral format. It's not like a scientific, very complicated language. So it's really, I think it's already made for talking. It's like talking text. I don't know.
Okay, now we can waste a lot of time talking about the new name. Desnes has pointed out that that Wumpus is a bad name. Fine. I have never been terribly concerned about issues like this, so I sent out a huge long list of lots of possible names or basis for names, and I'd like to hear nominations.
I sorted every example that one wrote in the community. I took it out and Googled it, how many findings we get.
Oh, good.
And I sorted them by the numbers and put own ideas in it. So maybe we should read all of the possibilities and then we can sort them out in that way.
Wait, you didn't look up every one of those, did you?
So 40 of them also. Not everyone, no.
You got
That's
a lot
what
of
needs to be
time.
done, but I was thinking we would do that after we had narrowed it down to some, what people prefer.
So
which one are the least have the least return on Google? You show the numbers.
Okay, I put some ideas from myself in it, but I took everyone that was in the comments about the thread. And it was, first of all, the best one was Slabberdaquillion from Chris. It has zero, zero findings.
That's the one everybody hates. I love it.
Then, one moment. So, I read an article about you that was very critiquing your work, and I found a word in it that was made up, and I found it really funny. So I took that word too. It's a raspberry with E-R-A-Z.
Oh, a raspberry. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
That is only 140. Then Erampus, E-R-A-M-P-U-S, would be with 400. And most of the words you wrote in the long text are already a person or something. So from that, there are many that have few more, but
I mean, they're real words.
A few of them, but a few of them have very little foundings. And that was Erasma, E-R-A-S-M-A, has only 300,000. Artorius have only 500,000.
You're doing multi-language searches. I was doing English-only searches.
Yes.
I was surprised by how large the numbers you have are, but that makes a lot more sense.
So that were just the words I searched for and got the lowest results from searching.
Okay.
So these would be totally fine.
Okay. Let me hear some other nominations. Yin, do you have any preferred or any suggestions or nominations?
I'm not good at it.
Oh, okay.
From my opinion, my suggestion is the name is the simple is good. Because simpler the name is, people will remember it at the first heard.
Yeah,
That's
that
my
is the
suggestion.
problem with Slubberdagallion.
Yeah, I think that name is so weird.
Yeah. Okay, Iván, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, I put this on videos, but just to say 3, Hypertron, just to follow the Erasmatron and the Storytron.
Yes. I wrote it down. SpeareShake, Rocinante.
SpeareShake from Shakespeare, and, well, Rocinante,
Okay.
because it's the horse of Don Quixote.
Yeah.
So, well, as I said in the comment, Don Quixote was an idealistic madman who wanted a better world, and he had a horse named Rocinante, so, well, maybe our engine could be called Rocinante.
Lorenzo?
I don't have any real name ideas. I think, a simple one is good, and the one that is pronounceable in major languages the same way. Like, for example, if it's pronounced in German or English or Spanish, it's pronounced the same.
Yeah. Okay.
So no sounds particular to English or something like that.
Yeah. Actually, the worst here would probably be Russian. Russian has all these crazy consonants. The is the one that's particularly okay. Cornell.
I don't have like a strong preference. I do like the story that Iván has presented. Yeah, if we do choose like a name, perhaps giving it like a story reason why this name, whatever the name would be like a great idea.
Well, going over these, I think I have to admit that I have to give up on Slubberdagallion. Even though I really like that word. Actually, I'm going to make this decision with Desnes. We'll privately go through things, narrow it down to a small list, and then from there we'll choose the final.
Okay, cool.
It could be like a FAST, like fast for, it's a software, so for anything seeking Kinders, like I don't know any acronym, so it could be a very precise, like the storytelling tool to make story worlds. I don't know, something about really what the software is doing.
I'd caution you that almost anything that makes sense has already been taken. I mean, the fact that 20 years ago people were choosing names like Google and Yahoo demonstrates that. I remember back in 1996 when I set up my website, I had a consultant doing it, doing the actual work, and I suggested a name, and she came back and said, sorry, no, that's taken. We went through 3 rounds, and I finally said, screw it, Erasmataz. Nobody will ever have that. So, I mean, this was in 96 that I couldn't get appropriate site names. So, anyway, let's see. Okay, the next thing, a number of people have suggested that the meetings, that we try to get more people into the meetings. That is, that we make the meetings, a form of public relations. We, add to the group through the meetings. The problem here is that the discussion gets out of hand. The more people you have in a discussion, the less productive it is. I think Yin Liang and I really proved that beautifully in the meeting where it was just the 2 of us, and we had this great back and forth that just, it was we each were building on the other. It was very effective. So you can still accomplish that with a small group, but it's harder. And if we bring any more people into this, it's just going to be impossible. So that then suggests that perhaps we should have either 2 types of meetings, small and large, or we just go to the big meetings, and those would have to take the form of a sort of more of an Ask Me Anything session, where I say, okay, everybody, I'm here to talk about the software. Ask me anything. I mean, if we've got more than 10 people, that's the only way it's ever going to work. Somebody here just suggested we reuse the Storytron name. I would very much prefer not to, because Storytron refers to the specific technology that I used, which is very complex and which simply went over everybody's head. I think it could cause some confusion. I agree, it's a nice word. It already communicates something. Any thoughts on the big expository meetings versus small discussion meetings?
Could be something like we do the same in the number of speakers, but it's just that we do it live, and now we have listeners, so they can listen live and ask comments. In the comments, say blah blah blah, and we take notes of the questions,
Okay.
and maybe answer to 1 or 2 at the end of the video. But we could make a big Ask Me Anything where we take all the questions sent, and once we have enough, we do Ask Me Anything. But it could be just, we do exactly the same that we do here, but just someone is streaming his screen and to a Twitch channel or to YouTube Live, I don't know. We still have the videos that is offline that we could see on your YouTube channel, but we have the possibility to see the conversation live.
Okay.
People will want to see a live, like a podcast or something.
Okay. So then the idea would be we would have a very small number of official participants in the discussion, and we would, at the same time, everybody else would be able only to enter questions in the chat section. I think I can organize something like that in time for the next meeting, which will be on a Tuesday. Okay, I'll see if I can put that together. Okay, well, I don't have the schedule in front of me, but we'll have another meeting in a week or 10 days. And
Question.
we'll have selected a name for it, and I'll have more news to report then. So I hope to see you then.
I have a question.
Oh, yeah.
Is Wumpus obsolete now?
The name, we will continue using it until we have a new name.
No, I meant the software.
Oh, the software. I wouldn't call it obsolete, but I need to revise it to catch up with the version I'm using. In fact, there's a lot of work involved in that because I'm also plunging ahead with a new one. I'm now working on the display engine for the Le Morte d'Arthur version of the software. So, yeah, I've got multiple versions floating around, and I'm trying to keep them at least in sync with each other. And I'm always behind, but I'm working on it. Let me just ask, does anybody, I suppose it would be good if you guys could see the latest version.
Yeah, you could do a limited release on, on private link something. So it's not an open repository, but it could be accessed by, so people will give you their email or something. So we can check the code, but we can't, let's say, commit, but yet always the last version, maybe.
Okay then, well, I will close the meeting now and we will talk in 6 days.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
See you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
See you. See you.
Bye.
Bye.